Okay, so this is how I built a six-figure marketing company. No fluff. Really, this is going to be a very short intro, but I feel like this is a video that I've been meaning to make for a while. But I think really the biggest takeaways in building this company is me being able to document the process so then I can look back and look at my progress, which obviously I haven't been doing as much on this channel, but yeah, I really want to make this video, and I have no script, I have no agenda, so I'm gonna just be talking as I go, and if I stutter, if I have to take a break, my apologies, but this is how I did it. Okay, so I started off with content. I was helping Westside Gun, Griselda. I ended up just meeting the right people. I was a huge fan of Gun. I still am, but they're really just like friends, family at this point. I've been to Gun's house a few times, and that's how I met my brother Isaac. Shout out to my brother Isaac, best artist alive. Anyways, started off doing content, made a bunch of connections. I also had my clothing brand. I ended up learning marketing, right? I realized that I needed to have some kind of way to grow my sales. And I think once I really sat down and realized that I needed advertising, marketing, that's when I said, like, okay, I need a mentor. I need to know exactly what I'm doing. I can't just keep guessing. Sure enough, that's when I met Chase Chappell. Shout out to Chase Chappell. Another reason, another really important pieces to this puzzle was Chase. He taught me marketing. I went through that whole program, the whole mentorship. I ended up scaling my brand to, it was like 30-40K a month, which is honestly not a lot. Back then that was incredible to me, but now that's, yeah. Anyways, I sold a ton of pieces throughout that quarter. And so I was working in a marketing position that I didn't like at all for a nonprofit, and I ended up leaving. I went full on with the brand, but sooner than later, I ended up realizing that I was just releasing items for the sole purpose to make money. And I absolutely, with no exaggeration, I hated that. I didn't dislike that. I absolutely hated that. Because the reason that I got into clothing to begin with was because I genuinely liked creating. I liked art. I love to see new things. I like when there's designs or people create something that completely disrupts the industry. Like, that is my favorite thing ever. I love to see that. I love to see people just breaking barriers and changing and creating trends, right? And I just wasn't doing that. I think when I released my In Living Memory design, that really changed a lot for me. I saw a lot of people trying to copy it. I saw the effects that it had. You know, some of the biggest artists in the world, like, were wearing my pieces, which is crazy to me. And pretty much I ended up meeting the right people through clothing. Keep in mind, I was in clothing for years. I was, figuring it out for years. I had no one to help me, no one to guide me, no one to do anything. So again, with the advertising in place, I ended up finding stylists, ended up putting it on major artists. I just ended up connecting with a ton of people through that brand. And so sooner than later, again, I quit my job. I went full on the brand. And like I said, I started realizing that I just didn't like the way that I was creating solely to make money. So I sat there and I said, well, I know marketing. I did it for myself. I can do it for other people. So at this point, I had a ton of connections, and I made an Instagram story post that I then deleted like 10 minutes later. Little did I know someone would see that. Someone would hit me up and say, hey, can you help me? So sure enough, I looked at the brand. I liked it. At this point, I didn't know anything about working with certain brands doing certain revenue. I knew nothing about that. The only thing on my mind was, hey, if I believe in you and you believe in yourself, and I seriously believe in your product and your work, then your product is gonna sell with advertising. That was my whole mentality. If you believe in yourself and I believe in your work and I like your work, then it's going to do well. So scaled that brand as well. We did about $30,000 the first month we worked. And after that, keep in mind, his best month was like $4,000 before us. So before me, now I'm a team, but before I was just myself, right? And then I posted those results. And then that's when I met my brother Luis. And man, we took that brand from 10K to 100K within 2 months of us working together. And that's when things really started to move, because I was posting those results and more people were starting to reach out to me. And, you know, it went about 1.5 years of me trying to figure things out and trying to grow my business as best as I could, because I was a one-man army. I was scared to hire. I was scared to outsource. And, you know, a lot of referrals were coming in. People were like recommending me, and a lot of brands were coming to me that I could honestly say that I didn't believe in their work, and we just didn't end up working. I just, neglected to work with certain brands that weren't doing work that I could back. So moving forward, I end up realizing, like, hey, if I don't continuously if I don't continuously keep adapting and evolving the business, I'm gonna fail. So it went from advertising to realizing that the creatives led really all of the growth and impact. And really with Andromeda, I started realizing, like, hey, I need to have a full team that can do all of these things that Meta is requiring for us to be able to scale indefinitely. And also, email marketing is massive, and most of my clients don't have a whole email setup. So let's just say I ended up finding the right person who set up all of our email infrastructures, all our, email systems, and that played a massive role in the way that my mind pivoted, because I started then realizing, like, hey, I don't only have to specialize in one thing. As long as I can provide services and hit certain benchmarks and make my clients happy, then I could realistically hire and build a team and really grow the business in the right way, because my mentality is to help out my clients, and I treat all of the brands that I work with as my own. Like, I don't take it lightly that someone is bringing me their brand and wanting me to help them, because I had a brand of my own, and I just want to treat everyone as I would treat my own brand, if that makes sense. So again, this is a really condensed version of this story, but I ended up hiring, again, outsourcing email marketing and building out systems and learning a lot more of, the back end and how a business really operates and what I need to actually be successful, and churn rates and all of these things that I didn't know before. I just didn't think about before. And essentially I ended up betting on myself. Now I have 2 full-time employees. One of them is contract. The third one is contract. So I essentially have almost 3 full-time employees. So I'm hoping to transition within the next week or 2 to 3 full-time employees. But the hardest part was hiring and letting go of things that I thought that I was doing well, but realizing that I just couldn't keep up with everything. So there comes a point in your business where your main objective is to just be the literal owner and the driver of the business, and not be in the trenches so much. Of course, being in the trenches, I love it, but the real business owners that are winning, the real winners, are making key decisions and not focusing so much on the day-to-day operations. And I am slowly pulling myself out of the day-to-day operations and just leading my team. And that's how I built a 6-figure marketing company. I spent years in the industry. I spent years learning and watching people, because again, I come from a city with like 13,000 people. None of my family owns a business. No one in my family is operating something like I am. I had no one to ask for help. Thankfully, thank God that I met the right people, I made the right connections early on. I was around, Wes and Griselda, and that is inspiring in and of itself. Like seeing some of the rooms that I've been in, some of the conversations that I've had have been absolutely amazing. And they'll just stick with me forever. And as I keep working and developing my company, I think about those moments a lot. And truth be told, I think I'm of the mindset that anyone can build anything, but the truth is most people just won't, because they're scared of risk. They're scared of doing things on their own. They need someone to handhold them. They need someone to tell them exactly what to do at any given moment. And those are the reasons why I just genuinely believe that most people just won't do anything like this. I'm not special. There's people that make more than me. Like, that's a thing. I'm not the baddest. I'm not the biggest. But what I will say is that I'm not scared of literally anything. At this point, I will bet on myself 10 times over. I will build something, and if I fail, then I fail. Who cares? I started off with nothing. I really don't care. And another thing is that a brand that's doing $1 million a month and a brand that's doing 10K a month I'm not taken aback. They're just really just numbers on the screen. Like, and really, like, another thing that I would want to talk about before I end this video is that when you get a huge opportunity, don't stay in that like, oh my gosh moment. Take opportunities that are huge and just keep moving. I promise you, the less excited you are about a massive opportunity, the more they become normal to you. So just normalize really big things, and really big things will just keep happening to you because that's just normal to you. Does that make sense? Don't glamorize any client because they're doing more than another. Don't, just keep it pushing, keep it moving. Someone wants to work with you and they're serious, then it's gonna happen. If not, just let them go. Promise you. I've learned to say no to people. I've learned to be really firm in what we're doing and how I onboard and how I stop working with people. God is the greatest. God is the literal greatest. I don't have to be here. I could just be doing nothing. Again, no one in my family is doing this, and I'm just making this video so that I can look back at it and however long and just reflect. But I hope that you gain something from this. You're free to ask me anything. You're free to DM me on Instagram. You're free to ask me literally anything, and I will answer. But the truth is that I spent years learning and listening more than I was talking, and I took that with me and I applied it to everything that I'm doing now. I learned to make contracts. I learned to build an LLC. I learned to hire. I learned, all of these key things that I didn't know before. I went to school for marketing, but they were teaching us like newspaper ads, like things that are just irrelevant to what I'm doing right now. And that's it. I figured it out. I am still figuring it out. No one knows exactly what they're doing. Everyone is figuring things out as they're going. You don't have to come into anything being an expert. Learn and study before you go into something. Have a plan, but the plan will never go according to the way that you envision it. Things are always going to change. So with that being said, that's how I built a 6-figure marketing company. I hope to scale it and just keep growing. I'm not a freelance brand scaler. Get the out of here with. I'm not in that realm. I'm building a legitimate business with philosophies of being able to help people and see them grow. I don't care about the money will follow. I don't really care about that. That's not what I think about. But given that that's where I'm at, I just wanted to note that, right? So with that being said, like I said, if you have questions, feel free to comment, message me. Peace. I'm going to make more videos, by the way. So if you want more marketing content, car content, we help build the biggest faith-based car brand in the world. So a lot of car content coming soon. Yeah. Peace.